Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland podcast. This is a show where we are looking at back episodes of the Heartland show, and we are into the middle of season 12, and actually almost finishing up season 12, episodes 7, 8, and 9. And you have to forgive my voice today. I've got a cold. Don't worry. I don't have COVID, but I've got a strong cold. So I'm sorry you get the raspy, weird sounding Rachel today. and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just grateful to Rachel for for showing up this week, even though she's not feeling great.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. It's good. So how are we feeling about season 12 in general?
Yeah, I love season 12. I love everything about season 12. Everything is pretty much working for me. I don't have a single thing that I don't like or that's really frustrating me. It just feels like it's very like classic Heartland.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll start out with Running Scared, episode 7. And it's Amy and Tim organize a family petting event while Georgie helps Jade work through her newfound fear of writing. So overall, what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, I really like this one. I believe this was the 200th episode. So it was a little strange that that Ty wasn't there, and Lou wasn't there. But yeah, it was very family orientated, and it just fit. It just fit Tim's character to change this like small family event and just turn it into this big sort of like ego trip. Yeah, and Caleb was great in this episode as well.
Yeah. And I thought Jade was really good in this episode.
Yeah, very much so.
So we start learning about Jade's workout routine. Doing those pull-ups, man, that's intense.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, not that many women can do a pull-up.
Yeah, it was interesting that they didn't show the full, like, because the actress is always, I think the actress was pregnant this season. Can you imagine? You see that in the script? Pull up.
Yeah. You'd be worried, that's for sure.
Yeah, getting a box to stand on.
But she's scared to get back on the Bronc, which is totally understandable.
Yeah. It's one thing saying like, oh, like, rodeo injury is part of it, but yeah, it's different when you sort of imagine it's different when you experience that and live it. It's so unpredictable. Anytime she gets on a Bronc, it could be the last time, and that, she's certainly very brave.
Yeah, and it would be hard to kind of build up your confidence again after something like that happened.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I guess maybe that's why they came up with the phrase of you got to get back up on the horse. It was from rodeo.
From rodeo, yeah.
So Caleb brings a rocking horse for Lindy. But that little scene at the beginning with Amy and Lindy watering the garden was so cute.
Oh, so cute. Yeah, and I just love that they sort of continued the storyline of Caleb just being like the ultimate like fun uncle.
Yeah. And obviously there's kind of more going on between Caleb and Cass, and we get that great scene between Jack and Caleb with some whiskey.
Yeah, it was so nice to sort of get a little bit of, even though Cass wasn't available for these episodes, it was nice to sort of get a little bit of what's going on in Caleb's relationships, because often we sort of see the beginning and the end. We don't really get to, other than Ashley, I don't think we really saw much progress with his relationships. It would be nice to sort of, dive into it a little bit more and give both of them more screen time. But yeah, I appreciated it, and I appreciated that it was really unexpected.
Yeah.
Like that was, I don't go I don't look for spoilers or look ahead. So yeah, that conversation, like I had no idea what he was going to say, but yeah, the fact that it was, suffering from, infertility, that was really unexpected.
Well, and also in these kind of shows, they almost always have the family have only one child, and which is unusual. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but it was kind of neat to hear Jack explain why they only had Marion.
Yeah, you don't often see the conversation between two men either.
Yeah, that's true.
That was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really good, and evidently Jack can hold his whiskey better than Caleb.
Yeah, for Caleb. He must have been really out of it to sleep out there, because I believe it's winter.
And it looked
Yeah.
uncomfortable, that chair.
Yeah, that was not a comfy chair.
And he's hungover. It's bad. But we also have this new plot line of Georgie where she is stopping eating. She's worrying about her weight, and she's got this calorie counting app. And the problem is that like she should be actually eating more as an athlete than eating less. It's all about what you're eating is the question. And like when Jack brought her up breakfast, it seemed like a pretty healthy breakfast. It was like eggs with I think some potatoes or something like that. And that's what you should be eating, is you want things with a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, and you need the carbs too.
Yeah. I mean, you see those sort of like, you and I are both sort of fans of the movies and things like that, and you sort of see the crazy like diets and things that those actors eat just to, look good on screen, and it's a crazy amount of food. It's like so unhealthy to do it for long stretches of time. And that's why we have professionals looking after them. So the fact that it is interesting that Georgie's training at such a high level, but doesn't have any sort of guidance as far as, physical training. You would think that would be something that would be part of her, team.
Yeah.
It was very scary to sort of see her say things like, are there yolks in the eggs, and did you take them out? And that's just, I'm sort of relieved that it was sort of wrapped up in these 3 episodes, because that would have been a really sort of brutal, sad storyline to sort of go through for multiple episodes.
Yeah, and I think they're trying at least to do better with both the physical and mental health of athletes in recent years. And I have to give, I think, Michael Phelps deserves a lot of credit for this, with him doing the documentary that he made about mental health of athletes, and him speaking out for it, because it's just an insane amount of pressure that we put on these athletes. And so she definitely needs some guidance from, I mean, and of course she's being very sneaky about it, but
and it's easy for her to be sneaky because her household isn't like a normal household. Her mum and dad are sort of in and out. She's with adults that all have jobs. She has a job, multiple jobs. They're all very busy, so it's sort of easy for her to sort of hide things, and for people just to not notice through no fault of their own.
So we have this penning competition, and I thought this was a fun setup. I mean, they managed to find another type of kind of competition. I'd never heard of this one, penning.
Never heard of this one, but yeah, it was actually really interesting and actually visual. You could kind of understand it. Some of these you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just go with whatever you say and who wins. Whenever they did the sort of the hunting one, that
Uh-huh.
Jack and Lisa went on. Like that was such a weird one. It was the hunt without the actual hunt.
Yeah, that
Um,
was weird. I didn't
that was a weird
understand
one.
that.
So yeah, this one is very straightforward, and you know the rules, and you can actually see it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they decide they're going to do it for charity,
Hmm.
and Amy's doing it for a horse place. I forgot to write down the name. But then excuse me. But then Tim is doing it for the Hudson Cancer
Hmm.
uh, place. And so the guys end up getting 45 seconds. The girls get 44 seconds, even with Jade freezing.
Hmm.
But they win. And then you have Amy deciding to split the donations so that they go to both places, which was nice.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of saw that coming, and it was it was very sweet, and you know, everybody wins at the end of the day, and the boys have to dig a massive hole for the outhouse. So
Yeah.
everybody wins.
We also have Jade. She's thinking about getting a quote unquote real job
Hmm.
with Jen at first. So she goes and talks to her. And then Jade and Georgie make a pact to not let fear get in the way.
Yeah, yeah. It was an interesting storyline because I imagine that's like such a real fear. Because Jade left college, so she really only has rodeo, and I think she's just sort of learning how quickly that could come to an end, and what's going to happen if she
Right.
gets injured again, and does she have something to fall back on? So
Because
it was
she
nice
was
that they,
going to school locally. So I don't understand why she can't just go to
yeah, go
school
back to
again.
that. Yeah, yeah,
She
that's
could
true.
be a trainer. I mean, she
Hmm.
puts Georgie through this workout.
Yeah, that was brutal. Like I'd be like, yeah, that's not how I want. I like to spend time with my friends.
But isn't it interesting that Georgie can see what's going wrong with Jade, but she can't see what's going wrong with herself? How often that's the
Yeah,
case?
yeah, yeah. Like you can't see it until someone sort of holds up a mirror to you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's
Well, let's
almost like
see.
a sort of deflecting sort of thing of like
It's
it
easier
takes
to
the
want our friends to
yeah.
change and be better, or to
Hmm.
sort of be in defense of our friends and to hold us our own account, our own self more accountable than or to be harder on ourselves than we are on our friends. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So Jack hosts a poker game at his place,
Hmm.
and Amy makes Black Forest cake, which is Georgie's favorite.
Yeah, I
And of
like Black
course,
Forest cake. It's a bit too sort of tart for me, but yeah.
oh, yeah, I mean, I've always said that the best cake, in my opinion, is yellow cake, chocolate frosting. I think that's like just the perfect amount of balance between,
Mhm.
uh, a perfect balance of chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
suppose mine is sort of similar. It would probably will be like a classic Victoria sponge. I mean, you can't go wrong with
ooh,
that.
what flavor does that have?
That's just like a plain. It's the sort of, I guess, like standard cake here. It's just like a fresh cream, or you can do like a sweeter cream with strawberries or jam.
Yum.
But yeah, it's just like a sweet sponge, so it is not got any sort of flavour in. You can put some sort of vanilla flavouring through it, but yeah, I
Uh-huh.
prefer mine just plain. It's
Yeah.
very fresh and summery.
Yeah, that sounds good. I do like an angel food cake. That's good. Light
Yeah,
and
that is nice.
fluffy
Yeah, 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 that's very nice.
with some strawberries.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have ones
but
that are like sort of sold in a Mr. Kipling sort of angel cake, and it's like it comes in a box and it's like impossible to just eat one. It just sort of disappears within like 24 hours.
yeah. Well, there is a place here in Utah. If you ever come out, I'll take you that has the best chocolate. It's chocolate chocolate. cake, but it is so good. I defy anyone to dislike it. It's so yummy. This place called Maggleby's, they are known. They have like when you come in, there's just like stacks of cake. That's like what everybody wants to buy. It's so good. But yeah, the Black Forest cake. I mean, I guess the cherry because it's cherries, right?
Yeah. I suppose it depends, the freshness and then the sort of type of sweeter then I guess. But yeah, sometimes it's a little too sort
Yeah,
of sharp for me.
I prefer just the chocolate if
Yeah,
I'm going
can't
that
go
way,
wrong
I
with that.
think. But she doesn't really eat it. She's hedging and making excuses and everything. And she's got
Mhm.
that scale they should get rid of. Oh, that's
Oh
the
my God,
worst.
that's the worst. Yeah, I mean we've all been there. Like I'm so guilty of that as well. But yeah,
Uh,
it's and just being so like disappointed when you sort of do everything right and nothing's really changing.
yeah.
But yeah, there's like a million reasons for that. Um,
Yeah, there really is. I mean, it could be like you're on your period.
mhm,
You
mhm,
could be a little bit bloated because of that.
mhm,
There's you gaining muscle, which she's
yeah,
doing these workouts.
mhm,
So there's lots of reasons why she could be gaining weight. And I don't think that she necessarily wants to be stick thin to be an
yeah,
equestrian. I don't.
yeah, yeah.
So
And she's
she,
obviously like gaining a lot of muscle as well. So, well, I'm
yeah,
not sure how much because she's not eating um a lot of protein, but she's certainly working out an intense amount. So yeah,
yeah.
I'd imagine she's, you know, a lot stronger. Fitness
Uh-huh.
comes in all shapes and sizes.
So this episode is directed by Chris Potter. I get another one from him, so that's
It's
fun.
interesting that he's in this one a lot as well.
Yeah,
It's interesting when he does ones that are like, you know, he's doing two full-time jobs at the same time.
uh, yeah, he's definitely in this one a lot. Uh,
Mhm.
but he's more tolerable. I think he's fine in this episode
Yeah,
for a Tim episode.
yeah. I think when he sort of does these things, but he doesn't take it in like a mean way.
Uh,
He takes it. He sort of does it in a way that's like everybody's very aware that he's
yeah.
ridiculous, that
Well,
he's
I
being
think the fact
ridiculous
that he's also doing it
for
for the
charity.
cancer
Yeah.
place, that helps make it more likable. Plus, it's just funny them betting over who's gonna build the hole for the outhouse.
Hmm.
The hole
Yeah,
that
it's
was
so
funny.
funny.
Yeah,
And I don't know what it is, but I really love the fact that they're not like dyeing his hair anymore. Um, I just feel like this whole look sort of fits Tim a lot better.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's true. All right, what would you give this one? 1 to 10.
I would give this one. I'm going to give it a 7.5. But that's just because I like the next two a lot better. Even though they were all sort of good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest. Well, we'll talk about it, but I'm not the biggest fan of this whole Lauren plot. So I think I actually like this one better than the next one.
Really interesting.
Um, but anyway, I'm fine with that 7.5 for this. I loved the whole scene with Caleb and Jack. I thought that was great, and him talking about the miracle baby Marianne and everything. I thought that was really good.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Calling all hearties, you will not want to miss Unfailing Love, a charming companion novel to the Hallmark TV show When Hope Calls.
This new book by Jeanette Oak and Laurel Oak Logan explores the backstory and additional plot lines not seen in the show as children go missing and the future of the children's home is put in question.
Get 40% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com when you purchase Unfailing Love or any of the When Hope Calls novels with promo code When Hope Calls.
That's 40% off at bakerbookhouse.com. Promo code When Hope Calls.
Okay, so the next episode is called StressFractures. And this one is Lou returns with an unconventional idea to attract guests to the Dude Ranch. Georgie's dedication to training takes a massive toll on her relationship. So overall, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I like this one. I like the sort of two-part story here. I was a little thrown. It's a new Katie around crazy. I was like, that's a different kid.
Yeah,
pretty
that
sure
was
that-
surprising.
Yeah. And I was a little frustrated with Ty, especially in the second episode. The third episode. But yeah, it feels a little bit repetitive just in their sort of dynamic. But yeah, overall, I really like this one. And I felt so bad for Wyatt in this one as well. Like, he just has the worst luck, that kid.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the Laura plot line. I don't know. I just feel like she's kind of one note. I don't know.
Yeah.
She just seems kind of cringy to me.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but
it's sort
but
of like continued the, because I was just not convinced that she was a good person in the previous episode that we saw her in. I was just like, God, she got off so easy. So it was sort of nice to, not nice, but it was sort of rewarding to sort of see that, that was sort of confirmed that she just wasn't a nice person, that she'd sort of crossed a line, that she crossed many lines,
yeah,
and not just that one.
it's true. And you see Ty and Amy working well together for the most part in these episodes, which is nice. So yeah, Ty says Laura is lying to us. He finds this. So the beginning of the episode, there's this race, and this horse Star wins, which is one of Lisa's most prominent horses. And then they find out that Star has a stress fracture in his leg, and Ty is very upset about this. Says that he has to go on stall rest, the horse, and Laura is upset about that. And Ty says Laura's lying to us. And I guess there's certain kinds of doping that you can do that will mask, I guess, whatever kind of pain, like pain reliever type of doping. And that's what they think that she's done.
Yeah. It is so, like, even when you just watch the sort of doping and the athletes do it, it's just so, like, crazy the lengths that people will go to and the sort of loopholes that they find.
Yeah.
I mean, the sort of the one that the Lance Armstrong one documentary, like, that was so fascinating, like, and scary to sort of see the lengths that they were going to in order to sort of, like, give themselves,
Yeah, like the blood transfusions, stuff like that.
And the, like, being at different altitudes, and like, oh, it's so crazy. And it's so scientific as well. Yeah. And all these different sort of
and this
medications.
seems almost even worse, because at least with Armstrong, like, it's true that everybody was doing it. Then I mean, it was rampant, at least at the time. But this is even worse, because not only are you making a choice to hurt your own body and cheat, but you're hurting an animal.
Hurting an animal, and yeah, it's, we know how, from the show, we know how intelligent and compassionate and sort of amazing horses are, and yeah, so to do this to such a beautiful animal, any animal, is just horrific. And I think it's really in the next episode we sort of understand the sort of depth of cruelty, just from Amy, because we know that she's so, like, I wouldn't say naive, but she always looks for the best in people. So for her to sort of reach a point that she does, you sort of understand just how bad, this went, and how far. Like, I had no idea, like, what she was hiding. But yeah, it was just so horrific.
Well, and And then she proceeds to basically blackmail them
Oh my
that
God.
she's going to blame it on them, and that she's going to call them out as the one who caused the whole problem. And she says, this is how the racing world works.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, there's probably a lot of truth to that. You know, she's probably doing something that she's seen done many times to the point where she is completely numb to it. Like the fact that she can't see that is such a horrific thing. You know, it just shows you what she's probably been exposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting to see like the pressure of equestrian sports from such different perspectives. You know, you have Georgie dealing with it in her way, and then you see, you know, Lauren dealing with it in hers. And
Yeah.
it just shows you it's in all sports and all disciplines of sports. So yeah.
But I don't think her blackmailing would have worked, because I mean,
No.
people are going to believe her over Ty, Amy, Lisa, Jack, tons of other
And
people,
you know,
Scott, would all be on Ty's and Amy's side.
yeah. And like Lisa's their family. I mean, it's such a weird thing to like threaten
Yeah.
Lisa's,
Well, and
granddaughter, essentially.
nothing makes Amy more mad than someone not treating a horse well.
Yeah.
You saw her like get her fire under her.
Yeah. It's the times that you actually do see a little bit of like anger from
she doesn't have anything to do with that.
No.
So we also have the Dude Ranch. Lou has sold her share of Maggie. She's gonna be a silent partner. And so she wants to fix up the Dude Ranch and have pioneer weekends.
That sounds awful.
I was wondering what you think of that.
That sounds awful. It's like, let's do glamping, but the complete opposite. Like, like the ideas that Lou has are just like ridiculous. Yeah, like I really hope we never hear about this like Maggie's franchise again.
Yes.
I'm so glad it's over. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, the idea that a pioneer, like, just call it like an unplugging weekend. You don't have to like have a theme and wagons and
like I agree that it's stupid, but I do think there's a market for it.
oh yeah, absolutely. There are people that will like yeah.
There was this thing that they used to do at my church called, they still do it, I guess, for the youth, called Trek, where you go out on these hand carts and you do the like a hand cart trek it's basically a pioneer trek. And I just think the whole concept is so stupid. I always have, ever since I went on Trek when I was in high school, and I always thought it was stupid, and I still think it's stupid. Like, they didn't go all the way across the plains for fun. It wasn't like a special. They did it because they had to. They would think we're crazy to, like, it's one thing to do a reenactment of like a battle, which they do all over the East Coast. They have these reenactment people, but usually that's like a day or something, but you're like relatively comfortable and it's like fun to get in touch with history. No, this is like miserable. And and like they want it to be miserable. The more miserable, the better, because you're like connecting with the past or something. I'm like that. And I'm like, that's just crazy, because you're not actually feeling what they felt.
No.
So you're getting like this kind of like false notion that you can relate to them somehow, which you can't. So the whole point, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's blistering hot. It's uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I like completely understand, the things that, like you said, like the reenactments, or, like here we have things like the Highland Games, and you just sort of have these sort of, or like a Renaissance fair, these sort of things that have like a role play aspect, like absolutely fine, so
Yeah.
much fun. But this just seems like making people miserable to try and, like you said, try and make them understand, people in history that were also miserable. Like, it's so true.
Yeah, it's like masochistic in my
Yeah,
opinion. It
yeah.
really is. And all of you angry trekkers, you can put in the comments. Agree. It was not for me. It was not for me. We have Mitch kind of not wanting to talk about the whole Maya situation, kind of dodging
Mhm.
it. And finally uh, he tells Lou that he has proposed to Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Lou fighting with Jen.
Oh, she was so rude.
So rude. I mean, why can't she have dinner with Peter?
Oh, yeah. That's ridiculous. But also, like, Jen has a very good point. Like, if you've been hired to run these businesses because the boss is out of town and, you know, incapable of, doing anything with these businesses because she's, running a franchise, and then she sells that franchise and comes home and starts changing things, of course you're going to have questions. Of course you're going to be worried about your sort of job stability and what's happening, and
Yeah.
are you about to be demoted? Like, yeah, you would
She should
be
be
nervous.
grateful to
Hmm.
Jen. I mean, first of all, just even on this trip, Jen's the one lighting the fire and getting
Hmm.
everything together, but she's just resentful of her
Hmm.
from the very beginning. And she's mad about her going to dinner with Peter and her wanting to work with Mitch. And it's just bad. I mean, it just makes they have a problem, I think, on the show
Hmm.
with Lou and making Lou, I think, too often a unlikable character.
Yeah.
That they give all of the good character traits, I think, or most of the good character traits to Amy, and she almost never does anything wrong. And then
Hmm.
Lou has just one kind of messy relationship after another, and just complains about a lot, even though like people are literally throwing parties about how great of a businesswoman and a person she is. She still finds a lot of reasons to complain.
Yeah. Yeah, she never has any sort of consequences for her behavior, when she does sort of cross the line. It's almost sort of forgotten by the next episode. She says sorry and it's never spoken of again. Um,
Yeah,
and that would be fine if it happened one or two times, but it's, we're in 12 seasons now and it
right.
happens quite a bit. So yeah.
Like you don't even understand why these guys are really that interested in her, aside from her being beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah.
And she gets ash in her eye, and her and Mitch have a moment. They kind of a near kiss, which is
Hmm.
awkward because he just told her that he's engaged to Maya.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the difficult things, even just with like Hallmark movies, where, they already have the boyfriend, but then, they have this whole other relationship, and it's essentially emotional cheating, but we're supposed to be like
Right.
totally rooting for it. Yeah. So yeah, not good. It's so hard because like I was so like invested in Lou and Mitch in season 10, and yeah, it just feels like it's taken a bit of a nosedive. And it's hard to root for it again in this aspect because, like you said, he's engaged. It's yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think of Peter and his goatee?
Awful. Like the second he showed up, I was like, oh my, no, that's not Peter. Like absolute, like not a problem with the actor having a goatee, but it's obviously for a different role, and it just does not
Right.
suit Peter. It's just not. yeah, just
Well, and
not
it's
Peter.
jarring that like I feel like every episode this season
different,
he's
yeah.
had a different look.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really so disappointed if that's not his storyline in another show of like this character changes his look all the time.
Yeah. And he's working with Jack to install the wine fridge for Lisa because evidently Lisa's just sending tons of wine over from
Yeah.
France.
Yeah.
And then Peter ends up getting shocked working
Like,
on the wiring.
yeah. Who's working on wiring with like the power still on? Jack
Yeah. Well, and
apparently.
I don't understand why you need to work on the like. Can't you just plug in
Plug it in, yeah. Like
a wine
that's
fridge?
yeah, you would absolutely just get that installed if it was that difficult. I'm sure if you buy something like that, it's just essentially put it together and plug it in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we also have Adam is dumped by Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of funny that the way that Wyatt's and that Georgie's just like, oh, I'm surprised. You're surprised by Olivia. That was all pretty funny. And Adam makes a breakup playlist, which was funny, and it kind of reminded me of oh shoot, what's it called? Now I've forgotten it. My brain is the Ashton Kutcher, Natalie Portman movie.
Oh, Friends with Benefit.
No, it was the other one.
Oh my god, that was the Justin Timberlake one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I like it. It's underrated. No Strings Attached. That's what it's
No
called.
Strings Attached. Yeah,
I love
preferred
in that
too.
movie.
Yeah.
It's so funny when
Mhm.
when he's trying to like connect with her, but he just like wants to be super supportive. And so
Mhm.
he makes her a mixed CD for her period, being on her period, which makes me laugh so
Yeah.
much. All the songs are all like bleeding love and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so
Sunday
good.
Bloody Sunday stuff.
Yeah, that was so good. Yeah, there's another moment where I forget the line, but like she says something about flowers, and so he brings her like carrots instead. Like a bunch of carrots.
Yeah. That's an underrated movie. It has a great cast, like Minnie Kaling's in it. Like
Yeah, I like that one too.
It's
I think
really
they're both
funny.
good, but that one is definitely, more romantic in my opinion.
Yeah, it's good. So anyway, that just made me think of that. And so they end up getting stuck. They go to this concert the night before her big race, which is probably stupid on a lot of levels, especially because I would think you would want to stay up late the night before, which you do at a concert, and you get all, you're shouting, you're having fun. I just doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm like, I always take the next day off work when I've got something like that. So yeah, I'm the opposite, like, because it takes me hours and hours to fall asleep after a concert
Yeah.
or a show. It's just like your adrenaline is so high, it's impossible to just like come home and go to sleep and go to work. Maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. And I'm also probably old, but I'm the same. I need a break. And then they end up getting locked out, and finally a guard comes and lets them out. But then they have car problems, and Georgie gets picked up by Peter, and he says, well, we can probably make it to the race, but she's at that point just too frustrated. So that's kind of where we end the episode. So where would you rate this episode?
I would give it an 8. Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah. All right, so the last episode is called Long Road Back. Amy and Ty work together to treat a doped racehorse, but when it turns into a race against the clock, Amy looks to an unexpected source for help. So overall, what do you think of this one?
yeah, I thought this was great. Like I said, I was a little bit frustrated with Ty's attitude. It seems he's very sort of like, whenever he's tired or frustrated, he just sort of lashes out. And it is a little. It's been a couple of episodes now where he has been very dismissive of, Amy's homeopathic sort of the way that she would like to sort of solve a problem. And it's like, well, why are you committed to this, partnership if you're not like fully in on it? And I know he says he is, but it's just happened twice now, and it's just a little frustrating. Tim was in like fine form. And I thought that the Fred
Yeah.
Garland storyline was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that was really good. So Lou ends up getting asked out on a date by this guy, Fred, who
Oh,
they have been working with on the cattle.
Mhm.
And this guy just loves being a grocer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all he wants to talk
What is
about.
that saying? Like, work at something you love, or you'll never work a day in your life. Like that's him with, with grocery stores.
Yeah.
Like I died when she was like, "What books have you been reading?"
Yeah.
I read a book called Grocery.
It was really funny. So they're looking for Butte in Star's system, but they can't find it.
Yeah.
But I guess she somehow just is able to hide it.
Yeah. So she says that she did give him the Butte, but then she uses something called a healing therapy, which she called a healing therapy called
healing
shockwave.
method.
A healing method, and I suppose that takes it out of the system, or it like does something to stop it from showing up on tests. I didn't research it because I didn't want to be upset.
Right.
Because it sounds awful. But yeah, it seems like she had worked out a system to dope her horse and hide it by using
Yeah, I
something
mean,
that worked.
Laura is unconscionable in this
Yeah.
episode. I
Mhm.
mean,
Like full villain.
yeah. And she is just determined to keep going in the race, which there's no way that Lisa would want this if
No.
so her actions just don't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, she's like fully delusional at this point.
Yeah.
That yeah. I don't
So,
understand how people can get to that point of belief
yeah.
when they're causing so much harm and pain and
Yeah.
suffering.
And it doesn't even seem like it's within her self-interest at this point. Like it seems like it would be her self-interest to not to distance herself from the horse.
Yeah.
But she plows forward, and Amy says, "You don't want to see the lengths we will go to protect her," which
Mhm.
is very true. They go all the way to
Yeah.
Mongolia for that other horse, for Flicka or whatever it was. What was it called? Phila?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Flicka was the
Something
movie
like
with
that.
Tim McGraw.
Phila. But we have Kim getting very upset with Georgie because she missed the event. There's only one left. She has to get first place at the Rocky Mountain Classic. And then, which you understand, I think, Kim's perspective, because Georgie has not been as invested as she needs to be. I mean, I would be very upset if I was training an Olympian and she goes off to a rock concert the night before her big event. I would be upset about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you sort of have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but yeah, when you take a step back, it's been like non-stop drama from Georgie.
Yeah. And but she of course is not handling this well, and she goes for a run and then throws up. So this is just a big problem now. She's pushing herself too much. And she fights with everybody about food. It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm so glad it was sort of contained to these episodes, because I find those storylines in TV, like, they're either, you know, really upsetting. A lot of times they're not very accurate, and, you know, the right people aren't consulted when they, you know, it's such a sensitive subject.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it was sort of contained and it didn't get to, like, you know, it got to a scary level. She fainted, but, you know, I've
Yeah,
seen, you know,
she races and then she collapses.
mhm, it
But
could
you're
have, you
right.
know,
They didn't stretch this too long.
mhm,
And so Jack doesn't want to expand the herd. They could get the neighbor's herd.
mhm,
And then he's upset that Tim and Mitch met without him, which I can understand that too. I mean, they're supposed to be working together.
yeah, yeah. And now that, you know, that Jack has explained it a little bit, like, I completely understand his perspective. You know, what they're selling now wouldn't be what they would be selling if they sort
Yeah,
of expanded the herd. You know, they are just, like, you know, mass producing at that point.
right.
The whole point is that it's, you know, Heartland cattle that was born and raised on Heartland. Um, and if
Yeah.
they expand the herd, it's not that anymore. So they're sort of selling something that's not true
Well, and especially
for
when
them.
Jack is the one who got the deal in the first place with Fred.
Hmm.
So I would think that you'd want to have him involved with
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and it's a little strange. You know, Fred should also know the amount of cattle that they have. So
Yeah.
unless he's sort of wanting them to go the mass produced sort of way, then yeah, it's a little bit of a strange request from him. Like,
Yeah. And so they're also doing this cow herding.
hmm,
And Tim wants to run the cows west into the river. And they're like, that's not a good idea. But he insists, and they go, and the cows run away from the river. And so basically, it's kind of their way of, I think, saying that like Tim doesn't make good choices. And Jack says, we're not expanding the herd. That's the decision.
hmm,
And kind of that's the end of that.
yeah, it was such a strange thing for, like, the show to do in terms of, like, show us that this is who Tim is, and it's like, yeah, we know. We've been watching the show for many seasons. We know exactly
Right.
what Tim's like. Yeah, we don't need, like, some sort of, you know, storyline to, you know, explain to us why Tim rushes, like, headlong into things without thinking. It's like, yeah, we're well aware of that at this point.
Yeah. So then we get a scene between Lou and Peter that they meet with Kim. They talk
Hmm.
about the situation, and he says, they say Georgie's been putting a lot of pressure on herself. We have to help
Hmm.
her get healthy again.
Hmm.
And then Georgie apologizes or calls Wyatt, and then also talks to Lou. And Lou says, I didn't sell Maggie's for Europe, but to be with you and Katie Moore.
Yeah,
So,
but yeah, that was sort of an interesting line in terms of, like, yeah, but George is leaving. It's like,
right,
I didn't realize that until she said it, and I'm like, yeah, but George is leaving.
right. That's true.
But I guess, you know, if Georgie does leave, then it's more of a, you know, whenever the actress can't be on the show, she's like, oh, she's in Europe visiting Georgie.
Right.
Like, we're going to get that so much.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess that's the breaks when you have a show with
Hmm.
10 plus seasons, you're gonna have to deal with
Hmm.
that. But
Yep.
uh, it was a nice moment, I thought, though, between Georgie and Lou.
Mhm. Yeah.
We haven't had one of those mother-daughter real moments for a while.
Hmm.
And it might have been a good point for Lou to talk about maybe struggles with her own, body image or, anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, we all have those moments, that's for sure, without the pressure of being an athlete.
Yeah.
So we also have Mitch telling Lou that the date isn't a good idea with Fred. And she's just kind of like, it wasn't that great. I don't know. It's funny. But he's also getting a little jealous.
Yeah. Again, it's just a little frustrating. I just hope next season we actually like make some progress with this relationship.
Yeah, it's
I
hardly
feel
done. I
like
mean, hardly done
it's hardly
anything with it.
yeah, for
Hardly
like
done
what, this is
anything.
the third season and they've hardly done anything. They
Uh-huh.
went on a few dates and broken up twice. It's so
Yeah.
strange.
So then Laura ends up resigning. And like you said, she gave her the butte, but used the healing method, shockwave therapy. So she resigns. So at least that's the end we'll see of her, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
And then we get at the end is Georgie apologizing to Amy.
Yeah, this was a nice moment. Especially since, Amy sort of took a step back from the coaching, and so it's sort of nice to sort of see her, even though she's, busy with her new business, it's sort of nice to see her sort of step back into, the coaching role for just a minute.
Uh-huh.
Because they are family at the end of the day, most importantly. And they did bond through, the horses and, the Heartland lifestyle. So it was sort of nice to be reminded of that, because Georgie has just gone so far in terms of like, from where she first showed up to now she's like headed to Europe and headed to the Olympics. So yeah, it's a nice sort of grounding moment for the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I would give it like an 8 or an 8.5. Just because I felt like it was a very good sort of two-parter episode.
I agree. I would also, I think 8.5 is good. It's a really solid one. I thought Laura was kind of a one-note character. I didn't really love her, but other than that, it was very entertaining. So let us know if you're listening what you think of these 3 episodes. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us a lot. And if you're listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, which has Heartland inspired merch. So check that out, please. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.